Friday. Kyle, it's Forecast Friday. Toyota is like not mincing a single word in Las Vegas and New York Hearts, California. Throw that one out there.
Yeah, switch to like I Heart You New York. And
that is exactly the picture that conjured in my mind when we were making the show notes and we put it in the title. I was like, you know what? We haven't had an emoji in the show title for a long time, and this seemed like the perfect opportunity to do it. Welcome to an amazing Friday.
I also quick, I feel like we've betrayed Phone Call Friday by renaming it Forecast Friday.
Well, I think we've just been naming days of the week this week for some odd reason. If you go back, like, I don't know why. It just, Throwback Thursday is obviously the OG, but everything else, I don't know. Forecast Friday, Phone Call Friday, Freaky Friday. Like, we'll figure it out. We got a lot of great stuff to talk about today. A little bit of insider information, which we're just going to say this at the beginning of the show. Just consider it as anecdotal because we can't cite anything that was just passed along, from, one of the very many Toyota dealers that we know. Toyota dealers are some of my favorite people. They just have a vibe and an energy about them.
They're measured. You know what I mean?
Like,
they're just measured.
Yes, there's something about that.
Every one of them. Yeah,
it might have something to do with the leadership. I've heard somewhere before that
is that a thing?
The organization tends to reflect the personality of the leadership. Funny how that works. Well, there comes the positivity, negativity, being measured, being decisive, being exploratory, all that stuff. So we're going to get into that stuff now. Just want to remind you too, we hopefully will see you at NAMAD next week when we are there. If you're going to the NAMAD conference in Miami, we'll be there. Please come say hi. Let's talk a little bit. Let's connect. Let's meet in person if we haven't. And if we have, let's reconnect. Yes, also, we're going to be at the Modern Retail Conference leading a creative track. If you're a creative or if you have creatives that you're always looking for a way to invest into them, to improve your marketing, improve your creative, send them to us. We'll take really good care of them for 3 days at Brian Pasha's Modern Retail Conference.
And they get to go to Florida. So, like a really nice part of Florida.
Yeah. So you can go to ASOTU.com/MRC for Modern Retail Conference. What else? Oh man, we're going to be in Atlanta. We're going to be in Atlanta at Glenn Lundy's 800% Club in October. October's got some stuff.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, today's the last day of September.
Speaking of 800% Club, today on ASOTU sessions, we got Alex Flores being interviewed by Glenn Lundy himself.
Some energy in that one.
Club, so tons of energy in that guy. We've got content coming out of our ears as we say
and out your speakers. Yeah, ASOTU sessions. Search it on your favorite platform. Our content producer, I don't even know what his title is, Nathan Southwick, came in and he was like, hey, by the way, that setup, the mics at the live event is gold. He's like, it's great content. It's real time. It sounds good. So check out ASOTU sessions. Just subscribe on like Spotify or Apple Music or any of that stuff. All right. We have some fun things to talk about today. I don't have a speaking of, but let's talk about Toyota for a second. Let's talk about Toyota.
Let's do it.
So I'll do this one. Toyota shared some internal data related to dealers selling over MSRP, right? A couple opinions around there. And they also sent a clear message of dealer advocacy in their dealer meetings that are going on right now in Las Vegas. So they Akira Toyota is a total boss. And there's something about the politeness of the Japanese business people that it's just buttoned up. It's polite. And they're like, but we're going to say it in kind of a factual and nice way, because we've been kind of a little bit laid back on it. So after a broad study, they went and got the data from last year. Toyota said that dealers selling vehicles over MSRP have doubled their profits, right? Okay, well, no one's really surprised. Perfect. Right, double their profits.
Keep going, though.
But they lost some market share. And then he said the dealers who have sold at or below MSRP, or at MSRP really, have tripled their profits and gained 16% market share on average. I think that was a double trigger pad.
Double must be the money. Guys, ladies, everyone, listen. market share in a time of economic distress or change in market conditions is the winner. It is the staying power that you have for business and profitability. And
The
what
profitability things really surprised me.
What Toyota has found is that even charging less than the dealers that are charging over MSRP because of their gain in market share and their volume increases have more profit margin difference than the dealers that have sold for over MSRP. That is staggering to me and should be a story that the industry should tell more and more.
Well, we'll see. It'll probably get out. They'll catch up with us, Kyle. They'll catch up. Come on. The industry will catch up with us. It's not fun. No, but here's the point too.
Yeah,
we didn't have, and we've said this from the beginning. We are not rendering an opinion on whether or not you should sell over MSRP, right? Everyone's got their strategy, and in different markets, different dynamics for sure. What we're really advocating for here is the broad scale dynamic of what happens when customers trust you more is really the bottom line to that conversation. I just want to make sure that's clear out there.
Yeah,
because we have great friends and operators on both sides of the fence.
There are cases where selling over MSRP makes absolute sense, and it's been going on for years and years. It's not a new thing. In a when you have a tight inventory or a limited availability vehicle or anything like that, that is a story that's through and through. And the people that are buying those specific vehicles, especially premium vehicles, understand that there's a premium to pay on availability. But when these sweeping changes are made across inventory on non-specialized vehicles, what we see is a loss of market share overall. And so that is like a story that I think is relevant data that I don't think I've heard to this point. No, I have not heard like, hey, here's what happened when charged over MSRP, when kept MSRP or under, and here's market share and profitability. That's the first that I've heard that
without a doubt.
Yeah.
Same here. What else did they talk about? Also, so they had a very like heart-to-heart moment, and Akira Toyota made it very clear that Toyota will not be pursuing any future that does not involve dealers as the primary method of selling and servicing their vehicles, which, of course, the reports tell us was met with a rousing round of applause.
Probably much louder than what I just played. I'm sure that
it was probably freaking awesome.
Because here's the thing. In that room, you have multi-rooftop dealer groups that have dealers in other OEMs. And so they're paying attention to all of the dynamics that every OEM is giving them. And then I'm sure those dealers, like those ones were the one that have these multi-rooftop and multi-franchise dealer groups were probably super leaned in when he said that, because that just like strengthens the relationship. And you want to bet the best operators are probably looking at like, where's the blue sky? Where's the opportunity for purchase in Toyotas right now? Without a doubt.
Also, we've been covering this in the last couple of weeks, is Toyota's position on EVs. And in a press conference following the meetings, this is documented and linked up. Mr. Toyota said, not only is California's goal of 100% EVs by 2035 not realistic, but even meeting the 50% mark by 2030 is very difficult. And that's the polite way of saying it's not going to happen. Right. Let me translate this one for you.
We're a really big manufacturer. We have scale, specificity, and we have the ability to understand the market dynamics and the ability to produce. It ain't happening, bro.
Not thinking. I think he said it just like that, actually. He said electric vehicles, and we quote, are just going to take longer than the media would like us to believe. Mr. Toyota told the dealers during the meeting he vowed the offer. They would offer the widest possible array of powertrains to propel cars cleanly. And he said, that's our strategy, and we're sticking to it. A big part of that is their hybrid strategy, where they're releasing and have in the market already more hybrids than anybody else, cutting carbon emissions substantially. It's like 7-8x over any other manufacturer because of what they're doing.
Reported 30% of their global sales are hybrid
already.
Like,
yeah, no,
you're doing a good job. He said that hydrogen power is also a compelling and increasing current hybrid power offering that is a faster path to success, interestingly enough. And I think that that's a huge deal to say like, hey, look, we're exploring and going deep on this other option, and we encourage others to do the same. Now, I can tell you of others that are not doing the same. Speaking of,
Mr. Toyota said unrealistic expectations.
Stop. Segue. Time.
Oh, this one's close to my heart because I live in New York State. And New York Governor Kathy Hochul is in a very big hurry to follow Gavin Newsom's footsteps to adopt California's plan to require all new vehicles sold to be EVs or plug-in hybrids by the year 2035. 68% have to be hybrids or EV plugins by 2030. And I think California was 50. So they always have to outdo one another, right? And then by 2035, it only allows 20% to be plug-in hybrids. I didn't realize that there is like still a hybrid caveat in there, right? If you have a plug-in hybrid, right, it's not fully electric.
It's not fully electric, but like only 20%.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's
so I was texting with some people in New York, like sending this story out, like, hey, other fellow New Yorkers, and they were very quick to point out, number one, what are all the areas in New York that don't have reliable internet service, like the North Country? Like, what are they going to do? Right? There's certain things about that. I was like, I didn't even think about that.
They don't even have internet service. How are they going to get all this?
I didn't even think about that. Yeah. And electricity, like building the grid when you get into the North Country, right? Like expanding the power grid to handle this is also a different thing.
I still like maybe we need to be the meme creator of like a massive downtown New York City high rise with like the
power cords.
Power cords just dripping out.
There's a strange thing because there are some elements where like that's almost a little more feasible than if you don't have internet or there's like these big expanses of space and just drive range. So either way, Hochul said in a statement that she has directed the state environmental agency to propose and finalize rules adopting California's plan, setting yearly rising zero emission vehicles that starts to escalate in 2026 and phase it out gasoline only new car sales by 2035. There will be a public hearing before it's finalized. I wonder where that's going to be. It'd be really fun to go.
Is this like, remember when we had Dr. Nicole Lipkin on and it was like this social positioning thing that she was talking about? Does that apply to politicians too? All right, move on to the next story. We're going to get into
pull up from this one. Speaking of getting out of the story.
Segue.
Time. It's okay. Let's go with this. This could have been the lead story because it is so chock full of information. It always is. This one is specifically full. Cox's Q3 industry insights and sales forecast, which is linked up in the show notes. Also included ASOTU alumni chief economist Jonathan Smoke and senior economist Charlie Chesborough. I like how we're just going to loop them in and call them ASOTU alumni now. That's actually the reason this is important. They delivered a barrage of insights into the shifting landscape of the industry heading into Q4. And we put some highlights together for you.
Yeah.
We have a lot of highlights. We have a lot of highlights, and we have about 3.5 minutes to talk about the highlights.
Well,
Kyle. So you go and we'll hit it.
I encourage any dealer personnel to read through this and just understand the movement. I think, awareness is half the battle here. It's just kind of understanding where the market is shifting. Take a measured approach, like we encourage and are impressed by the Toyota dealers that we know. Take a measured approach to the data because you can see some swings, but there's still some like leveling off that's happening back to 2019. So there's some swings, there's some gaps, but take a measured approach to it in the way that you approach your business. Don't like pull up on everything today. Here's just a few of the notes. Consumer sentiment has been improving up until last week. So that's a new move. The fastest and largest increase in interest rates since 1981 are creating this affordability crisis. So interestingly enough, the new car loan interest rates are similar actually in averages to 2019, but the dramatic increase in interest rates are what are causing this affordability crisis and with the lack of cash influx from government programs. Dealer sentiment is down after remaining steady most of the year, citing declining profits and increased pressure to lower prices, which is
definitely been feeling
pressure. Yep.
We've been feeling that on all of our private phone calls too, right?
Yeah. There's a lot of people saying, hey, like some of my competitors are starting to reduce prices, starting to go under MSRP. There's some people offering vehicles at invoice. So we're starting to see that trickle in to the retail landscape. Used cars are still showing strength. It looks like used car prices, used car wholesale values are still on an increase. So nothing going there. The wholesale to retail gap is increasing though. So what happens there is like wholesale corrects before retail, and so retail still going up. Wholesale is either staying steady or slightly declining. Oh, this one is a big one. There were a couple things on both used car and new car inventory increasing quickly, especially among higher priced vehicles. So on used cars, the dramatic increase in $35,000 plus vehicles on ground. It was actually quite shocking. Like that graph in particular to me kind of blew my mind.
Yeah, well, because that was the only one where you saw the increase, and all of a sudden there's this big
Right.
blue bar, and you're like, what the heck is that one? Well, it makes
Yep.
sense, right? Affordability crisis, interest rates going up. People are looking for cars that are between $15,000 and $25,000, right?
Yep.
They're hard to find, low supply, and the ones that are more expensive are sitting there. So I know, sure, Dale Pollack has some advice on that when it comes to how to price those vehicles.
You know, one of the things that we don't have on here, it was interesting to me to see like CDJR vehicles as an average on new car on ground have close to 100-day supply. That kind of blew my mind that there's actually.
Well, that makes sense.
Like,
when you
a
look
whole
at
range.
you look at one of our other points and saying like the CDJR incentives are starting to go up higher than everybody else, right?
Yep,
like, and
exactly.
which makes sense because even one of the dealers we spoke with yesterday, CDJR dealer, saying like, hey, we've noticed that some of our kind of our neighbors are starting to discount vehicles.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Oh,
Yep.
the times they are changing. So used car monthly payments are up 42% from year over year. So last year they were $387 a month on average. Now they're $551, projected to go up to $567 by December. Holy cow. Kia, Honda, Toyota continue to have very tight supplies. What we're hearing from our Toyota dealers is the fact that Toyota is saying like, hey, it's going to be tight supply for another year, right? So we don't see that changing very much. We just talked about Ram, Ford, Ram, Jeep, and Ford incentives are all ticking up in August. Everyone else is either down or flat. And Jonathan Smoke did actually contribute a fall playlist to this. Legit,
I
there's
love
a
this.
playlist.
Check this out. So yeah, he's got a 4-set playlist about, hey, break my soul, talking about the resilient customer still purchasing. It's got Rise. We may or may not be playing that here in a couple minutes on All Things Used Cars. As inventory
Can't
rising,
go wrong.
finally as rates keep rising. And then Under Pressure, love that one.
Classic.
With affordability hurting demand is the relationship there. And then this one's a little cheeky from this last one's a little cheeky.
good.
It's he related it to the Fed and interest rates. And the song is none other than Benny Blanco, BTS, and Snoop Dogg's Bad Decisions.
Yo, when Jonathan Smoke is such a renaissance man, when he can be such a boss at economics and then be curating songs that include BTS
Right.
and Snoop Dogg in the same track, relating them to the Fed, like he's America's. I think we should rebrand him as America's economist. Jonathan
That's
Smoke
strong.
should be America's economist from the auto industry. Like, we're just going to start calling him America's economist and see if it sticks.
Perfect.
We only have a minute here to go. We did list his top 10 predictions for 2022. We'll read them quickly. Vehicle demand will remain robust. Used vehicle values will depreciate. Actually, I'm not going to read these down because he's actually got a grade score next to them. These are the predictions. What they were going into 22, and this is how they're doing on 2022. So
yeah.
And number 6 was least demand.
At least a man.
He thought it would improve.
I gave himself.
You got to love
10.
America's
A
economist who is willing to grade himself and be like, hey, here's what I said. Here's what went well. Here's what I totally missed. I love it. But hey, look, if you know anything about the ASOTU community, it is about being honest and transparent, not taking ourselves completely serious, but being incredibly serious when it comes to the business of selling and servicing cars, especially the business of loving people.